Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? I saw a bunch of people commenting ahead of time. I'm going to play just a little 45-second clip so that we can get everybody on. And I'm waiting for Jim to join me, so he'll be here soon. He was en route finishing his last of his job today. So here we go.
On the stone. Sing the song. Say the word, and I'll come home. Check the spelling on the stone. Just check the spelling on my stone.
Hello, everybody. How are you tonight? All right. So I'm going to say hello to everybody real quick, and then I will get to comments and so on. Jim will be joining me in a little while. He just got home from work, and he needs to clean up and stuff, and he'll be on. So I did do a live Thursday night on Facebook, so there are some people that are commenting here. Diana, I saw your comments. I don't know. I thought maybe I did respond. If not, I'm sorry about that, but I will touch a comment here. First of all, I did send a couple of days ago a memorial post in the community section of YouTube that Gail Brewer Giorgio, the author of a book that we're reading today, and Is Elvis Alive, passed away in January the 25th this year. Our hearts and our prayers go out to her family and her friends that are mourning her loss. And I want to thank Purple Green. Let's see. If I wrote your name down, but I don't know what I did with it now. Oh well, anyway. For your $5 super sticker. Thank you very much. I believe I remember I had it written up here. Oh, I know what I did. Dropped it. Well, anyway, I'm sure it'll be back. But anyway, thank you very much. Let's see. Lynette, there we go. There's your name. I have it on this pink paper here, and it was hanging on my desk, and the sticky note fell. But anyway, thank you very much for the thank you gift. All right, so I'm just kind of waiting for Jim to join me here. So in the meantime, I'm going to say hello and just address some of these comments ahead of time, and then we will get into the second half of the chapter that we read last week about the spelling of the stone and other evidences. So, hi, Tim. How are you tonight? Hi, Diana. Hi, Joy. For some reason, you didn't see my comments last night. You were a very thoughtful and kind person, taking your time to share the many wonderful things about Elvis Jesse. Well, you're very, very welcome. I don't mind doing it. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, Jim's got a surprise for us when he comes on tonight. Those of us on the YouTube channel only, and not on the Facebook channel. So you'll be surprised when you see him. Okay, so hi, Lynette. How are you? Purple Green. And yes, and doing the memorial. So on Thursday, I did do a memorial for Gail. We will do a little bit of that today as well, remembering her. She was the one that paved the movement, wrote all these books. Is Elvis alive? She started us questioning. She did the research. Now we're reading the Elvis files by her. So we're going to give her a little tribute. I have some video clips that we're going to watch that kind of go along with this chapter as well in the book. All right. Hit the number 4 button. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. So Diana Rose is talking about the surprise that Jim has. So when he comes on, we will address those, okay? After. All right. Yes. Okay, so the reason why that's the last photo that was taken, actually after midnight, I believe 2 o'clock in the morning, I think they said leaving the house, or it could be midnight leaving the house. I'm not quite sure. I think it was midnight or right around the time he went to the dentist. He was leaving the house, and a fan had taken that as a photograph of him on the 15th or the 16th of August 1977. There'll be a reason why I have this photograph up when we go and cover this part in the chapter. There is a big question, especially about his sideburns. So I will be pulling that photo up. I just figured I'd put it there since I really didn't have much here. I'll just put this one on for a little while. All right, so we're going to look at more about the gravestones at Graceland. Okay. Hi, Barbara. How are you tonight? I am waiting for Jim. He'll be here soon. That's okay. No problem. Hi, Julianne. How are you? Hi, Sandy. How are you? Hi, Chanel. All right. So I'm going to start reading, and I'm sure he will let me know when he's on back, and I'll put him on here. Okay. So, okay. Elvis's twin. Now, first of all, they said his memorial stone had his name spelled Jessie at Graceland. I actually had found a grave this photo, so I'll put that up. As a little modest stone that's in the Mississippi, and we're going to be covering that actually right now. So I'm going to start reading. I believe we talked about last week why the grave was moved, and it was planned as early as August and not October. Okay, so I'm going to start with the talk about Jesse Garin. So the intrigue has always surrounded the death of Jesse Garin, buried in the unmarked grave in Priceville Cemetery in Tupelo. So that is the picture that they give us, Mississippi. This is the picture they give us in Find a Grave. And that's where they assume that's where his body is buried. Of course, he was buried like in a shoebox in a family plot of graves. I think this is one of Elvis's uncles or great uncle's graves. Okay, so that's where they buried the baby. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that up for a minute. So Elvis often mentioned that Jesse's death was a mystery and felt a sense of profound loss, which leads to wonder why, after making his fortune, Elvis never had a memorial placed in the Priceville Cemetery. Yeah. And if it were for security reasons, body nappers, then that reasoning should carry over into his mother's grave. The original Forest Hill Cemetery in Memphis, where an elaborate memorial was erected in her honor. Other avenues thought suggest that no one is buried at Graceland and that Elvis's grandmother, father, and mother are in the mausoleum, where it is reported to be sealed off room exists. Its door several inches above the ground so that one can peek beneath. Some who have peeked wrote a question why a single rose is seen on there on Mother's Day and on August 14th, the day Gladys Presley died. Once again, this does not necessarily mean that Elvis is alive, only that no one is buried at Graceland. Hi, Jim. How are you tonight?
I'm doing all right. Just got home.
Okay. Hey, and you look so different without your beard. That's a surprise, everybody. Diana had mentioned something about that, so I thought I
I,
would wait.
I, I was on here Thursday night. My beard gone. I shaved it off Thursday.
Yeah. Well, Diana saw you on Facebook. I guess she commented, but for some reason the comments didn't show up. So she said you looked much younger without your beard. I'm sure
Yeah.
everybody else And she said she didn't recognize you right away. She was like, who's that? So, all right. Let's see. I'm just going to continue on, and then we will. I think I finished with Chanel. So I'm just going to leave her there so I know where to pick up on the comments. Okay. 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 So, but again, this does not necessarily mean that Elvis is alive. I'm rereading this. Only that no one is buried at Graceland again for security reasons. Body nappers. Elvis loved his mother very much and always said he would be buried beside her. Many fans have noted. This is where the graves are right now, and obviously Elvis's stone is not next to his mother's stone. It's next to Minnie Mae's and Vernon's in between. So the question is, she's like, why is he buried between his father and his grandmother? They asked. There was no reason for it. After all, he and his mother were there first. Another clue? So I've never really let my mother go, Elvis said. She is my heart, and she always will be. With deliberation and thought, Elvis had the Star of David and the Christian cross added to his mother's Forest Hill Memorial plaque. One reason was that Elvis' spiritual studies embraced a universal God. He too wore the Star of David and a cross. And those who knew of his spiritual quest knew he believed he came from the house of David, which was Jesus's lineage. And other biographies state that he was pleased to learn he had Jewish blood on his mother's side, lineage again to Jesus, whom Elvis called the true king. When asked about the Star of David together with the cross, Elvis kiddingly said he didn't want to take any chances about getting into heaven on a technicality. And he actually said that in Elvis Found Alive. If I remember correctly, he said, I didn't want to miss heaven just on a technicality. That was quoted exactly. If I had gotten that clip, I would have got that clip, but I forgot about it. Anyway, so knowing this, fans have again questioned why the Star of David is missing from Glass's Graceland plaque, as well as Elvis's, and why the TCB appears on Elvis's. Taking care of business. Is that what he's doing? My husband and I have been to Graceland and visited Elvis's grave, wrote a fan from Illinois. We do not believe Elvis or family members are buried there because I have been taught you bury your human body facing east and west according to the Bible. Elvis and his family members' headstones are facing north and south. Quite interesting. According to the Bible, one should have their head west and feet east, facing east. Thus, when resurrection day comes and depart, will face with God. All right, so they're talking about when the rapture comes and the dead rise first. They're saying that. Okay, they're taught that.
The dead might rise, but it ain't gonna be your physical body rising.
No, you'll have a new body anyway, but it's just that's the way they taught it anyway. So I called several mortuaries and they said it is traditional to bury facing east, especially in the south. I don't know of any church cemetery not burying facing east. Even memorial parks try to hold this tradition, was their response. So Elvis and his families read the Bible religiously, studied it. They were fundamentalists. They were, why are the graves opposite of biblical declaratives? Gladys's original grave in Forest Hill did face east. Another clue. Okay, So those knowing the Bible and those knowing Elvis and his family respect for it say that it is definitely another clue that no one is buried at Graceland, which brings me full circle to stating that what does that does not necessarily mean Elvis is alive, just that no one is there. Which then means that Vernon must have been the genius behind all of this. Does it sound like Vernon? Or does it sound like Elvis? I received an interesting letter from a woman who said she and her friend attended the 10th anniversary tribute week in Memphis, arriving a few days prior to August 16th for sightseeing. Forest Hill Cemetery was on their tour. It was early morning and they wandered about. A man walked toward them wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses with gray hair, no sideburns, normal clothing, head down. They nodded, but then, as the man passed, they suddenly stopped and stared at each other in shock. It was Elvis Presley, I swear it, the woman wrote. But we talked ourselves out of it thinking, no, it's impossible. So we continued on, only to learn that we were heading in the direction of where Elvis's mother had been buried. It was early on August 14th, 1987. August 14th is the day Elvis Presley's mother died. Could it be possible? I have never seen one crossword puzzle use AARLN on the following page as a sample of a puzzle that appeared in the Globe on Baton Rouge, Florida on June 14, 1988. Note 172 across. Elvis blank Presley. 4-letter words. Aaron. Again, well, anyway, this is the crossword puzzle. It's kind of hard to see with the picture in the way. I think we lost Jim again. That's okay. She said, what number was it? 172? Ah. Well, anyway, 172, there's a blank there. I don't think she filled it in, but it's 4 letters instead of 5. That's what she wants to say. But anyway, that's a change the subject. Okay. So again, the lettering ARON versus AARON reached me this past January. Here are some interesting extracts from it. The 2 birth certificates, the first name with the name Elvis Aaron with 2 A's, Presley, is dated January 10th, 1935, but the second one was dated 2 days after the first, dated January 12th, 1935. The name was changed to ARON, Elvis Aaron Presley. This tells me that Elvis's parents had to have the name and not Elvis later in life, as so many are saying. I think it was on Larry King Live show that the caller called in and pointed out that later on in life, Elvis did drop one of the A's and just used one. But on January 12th, 1935, it was Elvis ARON Presley and not someplace down the road in his life. Again, on Major Bill Smith's cassette, Elvis Lives, he stressed the middle name being AARON because his beloved mother gave Elvis that name. I wonder if Mr. Smith has taken the time to read the dates on the 2 certificates. So documents such as birth certificates, the will listing Aaron, ARON Music Incorporated, Elvis's marriage certificate, Elvis's signature appear in Is Elvis Alive, as well as in other books. For verification of documents using ARON mentioned in the Elvis files. Another source is the book Aaron, His Life from A to Z by Fred L. Worth and Steve D. Tamarius. So since Is Elvis Alive was released, I received thousands of letters, a portion of one which follows. I am a mother of 2 sons. My youngest, Dan, became a very good friend of one of the Presley cousins. Now, the Presley cousins trust few people, usually because someone always wants something, and they were used by my son, became so close to all the remaining Presleys, particularly Jimmy Gamble. He is Vester Presley's grandson. Patsy Gamble worked for Elvis as his secretary and did many other things. She was always at the mansion. So was Vester, as he once was a guard at the gate. And my son played touch football on the grounds of Graceland, swam in the pool. Gail, you talk about Elvis's middle name being misspelled on the gravestone. You ask why? I know why. He, Jimmy, told my son that Elvis was not buried there. My son looked at him and said, well, if not, where? He said, oh, well, only the family knows. So, Jim, you're definitely right about that. Only the family knows where the family is buried. I believe
Yeah,
they're
and
not buried there either.
I'm gonna tell you something. Jimmy Gamble, remember the guy a few years ago that everybody was saying was Elvis, the gardener at Graceland, the guy that was doing the
Yeah.
gardening. That's Jimmy
Mhm.
Gamble.
Oh, yeah. So Elvis's cousin. That's probably why he looks a lot like him. Because isn't let's see, what was the name of the mother? Oh, Patsy, she's a double cousin.
Yeah.
She is like Patsy and Vester, obviously Vester married Gladys's sister.
Yeah.
And so they have the same like genetics. Like if
Yeah.
if Jesse had gotten Patsy's DNA, there would have been no doubt about it that they would have matched pretty good.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah. When they checked him against Donna Presley and they checked him against one of the Smiths, he come back as the first cousin. It's like I told you. There ain't but one way that can happen. It's either Elvis or it's actually his stillborn brother, and we know he passed away, so that narrows it down pretty good.
And Patsy was not let's say agreeable to do it.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because that would have saved them a lot of time. They have to try to get Donna's and Brenda's
Well,
and everything else.
Donna refused to give Eliza that DNA. They was at Donna's mama's house, and she refused to give it to her. And then she told him, "I gotta go do something," and she left. And after she left, her mama looked at Eliza and said, "Can't you get DNA off cigarette butts?" Yeah. She said, "Well, there's an ashtray full of cigarette butts. Donna's been sitting there smoking. Get you a handful of them." So that's how she got Donna's DNA.
Okay, so I'm going to take a minute, and I'm going to just we're going to go into the coffin and all that stuff in a minute. So I'm going to cover little video clips that I found from the Elvis Files TV show with Gail. So I'm gonna play this one.
Well, there is no doubt about it. Elvis Presley was a federal agent. His power and clout went to the White House. President Nixon made his appointment. We also know by records that Elvis Presley received a call from President-elect Jimmy Carter at the end of 1976, and President Carter wanted to appoint Elvis to a special commission in the Carter administration. Another call was placed by the FBI between President Carter and Elvis on August 15, 1977. Elvis's name is listed in the Justice Department's Black Book as a federal agent. Plus, there's books at Graceland that seem to be clues. And during Elvis's last concert tour, he made some very strange remarks on stage. It sounded like he was saying goodbye. He would say things like, I am, and I was. And he also said to the audience, he said, I may not look good tonight, but I will look good in my coffin.
Okay, I'm gonna do this one now.
Passed away when everyone thought he did. Now let's assume for a moment that that's true and that he is alive. It stands to reason that someone somewhere would have encountered him. Gail, why don't you tell us how you became involved in this case?
Well, I, like the rest of the world, heard the news that Elvis Presley died at the age of 42, and I was shocked. When I heard that Elvis Presley had died, I was amazed. It seemed that almost overnight a very mortal man was deified. My curiosity led me to write the novel Orion, a fictitious story about a singer who was a prisoner of his fame, a man who ended up hoaxing his own death. The book was sold to a major publisher, a sizable advance was received, as well as a promise of extensive promotion. After the book was released, I began receiving calls that the books were rapidly disappearing under very strange circumstances. More than one store reported that men in business suits came in and purchased the books in quantities, and that once they were gone, the stock was never replenished, which is a very strange business practice. My repeated calls to the publisher were ignored, my questions unanswered. Meanwhile, as I was investigating the mysterious disappearance of my book, the media and many of the fan clubs were questioning the death of Elvis Presley. Several fans brought to my attention the fact that Elvis's middle name was misspelled on his grave at Graceland. This and other discrepancies led me to write Is Elvis Alive? I was then contacted by Monty Nicholson, a veteran investigator with the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, who had written a book called The Presley Arrangement, which focuses on Elvis faking his death. Monty and I compared notes and found that despite never having heard of each other, our information was almost identical. My appearances on radio and television shows led to many phone calls, leads, lots of new information.
Now, how many, please, in our audience have been to Graceland? May we see some hands? Ooh, quite a number of you. All right. What would you think if you'd visited Graceland, taken some typical tourist pictures?
Okay. I'm going to stop that there. I had another clip of her doing the numerology thing, but for some reason I lost it. So we're going to go into the the casket and stuff like that at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this clip. Huh?
I got something to say before you start that next video where Gail was
Okay.
talking about President Carter contacted Elvis. The day Elvis was reported died, that morning, there's records of a phone call where Elvis called the White House and talked to President Carter for quite a while.
Okay. Oh, I know that there was records before. I know that he went to court the day before as well. So we're going to cover who was in the casket next. But before that, I'm going to show you a clip of Gene Smith, who is one of Elvis's first cousins on his mother's side. And I'm going to
Gene Smith and his brother Junior Smith, they was both close to Elvis. Junior died from alcoholism. He was young. He wasn't even 30 years old, I don't think. But Gene, he was just like Elvis's brother. They grew up together. They run together. They hung out together. Gene worked for him for years.
And Billy Smith is actually a first cousin, but from a different sibling of Gladys's. So anyway, so we're going to watch Dean Smith's thing, and then I'm going to read the rest of this chapter, and then you'll see where I'm coming from for that last photo that I shared earlier. All right.
I stood there quite a while looking at his hands, and of course he was always breaking bricks with his hands. He had calluses on the bottom of his hand, and big old rough-looking knuckles. His nose looked kind of puggy looking, and his right sideburn was sticking out straight out looked about an inch. And his hairline looked as if it had been a hairpiece, something glued on somewhere. It just didn't look right. And his hands was just as smooth as a newborn's baby's behind, you know, and it seemed like it was sweating on his, around his hairline. It could have been sweat, it could have been glue, I don't know. But I just didn't believe it was him.
Okay. So he didn't believe it was him. There was a lot of things that were kind of wrong with that, picture of Elvis in the casket. The eyewitness accounts of the people that actually went up to the casket, went up to the body, and looked in. So we're gonna start with that. Elvis in the coffin. Okay, so regarding the coffin, according to the Commercial Appeal, Memphis, Sunday, August 16, 1987, Han Cook Funeral Home in Oklahoma City had a large silver-plated national seamless casket flown from Memphis by private airplane. The casket arrived around 11:15 p.m. Elvis in the coffin appeared on the front of the National Enquirer, taken by relative Bobby Mann, one of his cousins. What surprised everyone was how poked Elvis's nose was. Response from family and friends about the oddity. Since Elvis had a beautiful classic nose, was that he fell on his face because he had a heart attack. Most people do fall forward, but the body's weight does not rest on the nose like a spinning top. If that were the case, people who sleep on their faces would have poked noses. In Bill Burke's book, Elvis Through My Eyes, he writes about Elena Nash, formerly of the Louisville Courier Journal, the author of the bestseller Golden Girl, who viewed the body in the casket twice and commented on how wax-like it looked, ending with her belief that the whole thing was a hoax and Elvis would eventually show up. Alana was a guest on Geraldo and said that although that is what she originally thought and said, she has changed her mind. The following quote came the Elvis special by LaCosta, sister of Tanya Tucker. We were right up to his casket and stood there, and God, I couldn't believe it. He just looked like a piece of plastic lying there. He didn't look like him at all. He looked like a dummy rather than a real person. You know, a lot of people think it was a dummy. They don't think he's dead. I received a note from Betty W., an Elvis fan, in 1989 that said, I would love to tell you the name of the mortician who worked on the dummy for over a year, but I promised not to. He said he would give his life before he revealed EP's main home. Maybe it won't be long till this whole mystery is solved. If Elvis wanted to escape, why couldn't there have been a plane crash in a closed coffin so that not to arouse suspicion? It is frequent question with this answer. If no body had been put in public view, people might have believed Elvis was dead. As it was, even the body was not convincing to many. Knowing how Elvis felt about Gladys's funeral turning into a circus, one wonders why Vernon allowed his son to turn into a media fiasco, unless it was because Elvis's life was truly in danger and it was essential to convince someone that Elvis Presley was dead. Dead. And the question continued, who or what was in the coffin? Or, as Elvis said only weeks before, I know I look fat now and I look terrible for my TV special coming up, but I'll tell you this, I'll look good in my casket. He was pronounced dead approximately 8 hours earlier, although the official announcement did not come until 3:30 p.m. Since the body was to be displayed the next day, August 17th, and the funeral on the 18th, Vernon Presley had to do quite a bit, especially trying for a sick man, which indeed he was. Yet the speed with which all the arrangements were made is mind-boggling, particularly when one considers that an autopsy and embalming were completed. The body was back in Memphis Funeral Home around 8 p.m. and 16 white limousines were ordered and a white Cadillac hearse was readied, that a specially designed casket was ordered and flown in, that a casket blanket with 500 red roses was made, that security and police were ordered, and the tour was canceled, and personal calls were made by Vernon to fan club presidents asking that they not attend. That clothing was chosen, songs were chosen, ministers contacted, the procession planned, and the body put on private display by 11:30 the next morning. The planned public viewing by the press and crying fans were take place a few hours later. And the casket was moved from the living room to the foyer for the front entrance of Graceland. And at 3:00 p.m., according to Memphis Commercial Appeal, the floodgates at the end of the long driveway were opened to thousands who flowed like a river past the lifeless body. And at 6:30, the gates were closed. So Elvis fan Kim S has written the following: I personally know the man who made the coffin. He said it was really bizarre. It was a rush order. It was copper, but it had 3 lids. The first that would go over was double, and then another single one piece that went over that, and a single copper would go over everything. He also said that there was no way Elvis's body weight and the weight of the coffin was 900 pounds. Something else was in it. And he said it was big enough to put an air conditioner in it. Silver or copper, the majority of the reports say copper. From Lindsay in Ohio came these words: I did some snooping on my own concerning the casket and corpse. I got into a really detailed discussion with copper caskets. The absolute best copper casket would be, he called 48 ounce. Then there is also a 32 ounce. I asked him how much a 48-ounce casket would weigh empty, and he said 375 pounds. Add that weight to 250 pounds Elvis was supposed to have weighed, and you have a discrepancy of 250 to 275 pounds. The weight of the small air conditioner, a wax dummy. Now something cool and keep the wax from beating up, except that at times there were beads of something on the body in the coffin. And when I was on Larry King show in August 1988, Joe Esposito, Elvis's friend and road manager, was also a guest. I asked Joe about viewers reporting beads of sweat on the body and the casket, and he said that it was true that everyone was sweating because the air conditioner had broken down, except that dead bodies do not sweat. It looks like a wax dummy was the comment many made and the public viewing. Larry Gellar commented that Elvis looked like a piece of clay, attributing to a makeup. He also talked about the full half-inch of white root showing in Elvis's hair or the sideburns, although a picture taken in the wee hours of August 16 show no white hair. Now this is the picture.
Nope.
All right, this is a picture. I don't see any white hair on Elvis's head. Not
Yeah,
a stick.
his hair didn't get white overnight.
No. And I don't believe that he would put, he would put black mascara on his sideburns if he had grays coming through. That wouldn't be the case. And also, Elvis was known to be very ready for a tour. So obviously, he was getting ready for a tour and would make sure his hair was dyed and his sideburns were done, because this is done early August 16th, and he would have been going
Well,
away
yeah,
on tour that night.
that's what I always said. Elvis was leaving on tour the following day. That picture there was taken the night before. Well, if he was getting ready to go on tour, he'd have had his hair already dyed and his sideburns fixed and everything. There wouldn't be no need for Larry Gellar to put any mascara or dye in his hair.
Right. So, and also, even Gene Smith said it in that video that he had a sideburn that was loose, and he had to push the sideburn into the wax. I think even Deborah Presley Brando had mentioned something about Gene Smith telling her that the casket had a air conditioner and you could hear it running as you approached his casket, and the body was made of wax, and he had to push the sideburn down because it kept falling off, and his wax was sweating because it was so hot. So yeah. Anyway, okay. So we're gonna let Gail rest in peace. I hope that her family are comforted by the Lord, and we are going to continue to check on these greetings. Orion Girl 8. Well, hello. Welcome to the channel. First time here. I'm hoping that you enjoyed this video. I'm not sure. Oh, okay. Shoebox, no. Well, they put little baby Jesse in a shoebox, as far as I know. Do you know of anything anything different, Jim, on that? I don't think
I
so.
was told they buried him in a shoebox, and that's another thing. I don't give a shit. A full-term baby's not going to fit in no shoebox. And number two, in the early 60s, Elvis and Vernon went to Tupelo looking for Jesse's grave, but Vernon couldn't find it. That's hard for me to believe, too, because if I bury one of my children, I'm not going to forget where they was buried.
Right. Well, I guess Find a Grave has this now. This is now at the Mississippi grave, so they must have found somehow, some way, marked it. But this is where they claim the baby Jesse was buried. Anyway, that's what they said. That's from Find a Grave. We look that up online. Okay, anyway. Jim looks great. Cheers. All right.
No.
Yeah, you look different without the beard. All right. Hi, Mr. Beardless Jim. That's Lynette. And she gave me a $5 gift earlier, so thank you very much. All right. Hi, Lily. How are you tonight? Hi, Francis. How are you tonight? And hi, Jim. Oh, wow, Jim, no beard. Looks good, sir.
Don't be calling me sir. That's like putting a screen door on a damn outhouse.
It's 85 down there today. It was only 61 up here, so. I saw that someone published a new book called Occult Elvis. I'm not sure if Elvis would or not like that description of himself. He did say that he did do a lot of things that dealt with the occult. I mean, he studied a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of different religions.
that
Numerology is considered
that that man
huh?
studied every religion. I said that man studied every religion there was. He read the Quran. He read a bunch of different types of Bibles all over the world. He was always seeking knowledge.
Right, but he loved the best was Christianity, obviously, in the Bible itself. And
Well, you know,
numerology is a study of numbers, and you can use numerology in the Bible as well. A lot of people use numerology today for Bible prophecy. Amanda Grace is one. If you guys want proof of that, look at Ark of Grace Ministries. She uses
No,
numbers all the time on her prophecy stuff.
I don't know if everybody knows this, but Church of Scientology came to him in the 70s and was trying to get him involved in that. He looked it over and told him to go to hell. He said, "Y'all ain't nothing but a bunch of damn cult."
Yeah, he also I think he dabbled in every religion there was.
Yep.
He was obsessed, he said, with the occult. I think he said it in here in this book, that he was obsessed with the occult, and it fascinated him. Wax body fascinated him. Also, what fascinated him was going to the funeral home and studying how they embalmed bodies and all that kind of stuff. Let's see.
Yeah,
There we go.
he was definitely a different duck.
Yeah. Okay, so this one here. I will start about 1974 when the thought first came to me about faking my death. I was always been fascinated with the occult and other spiritual things. When I first saw the wax dummy of myself made by Mr. Cooper, I was fascinated with it. For some time I had thought if it was possible, could I pull this thing off? And I asked Mr. Cooper if he could make another wax dummy for me. He said he could. I, in turn, said I wanted him to do it and keep it strictly confidential. And when I mentioned it to a very few close friends, and he listed them, Joe Esposito and Larry Gellar, they did not think I was serious. But I was tired of being Elvis Presley. Interesting. My health was deteriorated and I couldn't keep up. So he just said here he was fascinated with the occult. So I'm going to say that I don't know what he would think of that title, but he knew he would be mentioned about the occult stuff because he studied it. All right, Tony, how are you? Why are Thursday lives Facebook and Saturday on YouTube? Okay, so I put Thursday lives on Facebook and I put Saturday lives on YouTube. I scheduled them because that's when I was available. Probably TV was kind of lousy on Thursday.
Yeah, and another thing, on YouTube, you ain't got to worry about Facebook deleting your damn video.
Right. And so I always started with the YouTube, and then I started doing YouTube lives because I felt it was easier to do videos on YouTube live and they would stay and they don't get erased and they don't expire. And then I could put different language captions on the YouTube. So that's why I did the YouTube video, and on Saturday night, I was doing them Sunday afternoon, but my schedule changed. So I changed it to Saturday night. And Thursday night, I do Facebook. I used to do Facebook on Tuesday, but then I changed it because there was so much going on Tuesday night. So I don't know if that helps at all, but yeah, that's why. I just keep choosing Thursday and Saturday night. Right. So, what's the difference with Gail's books? I have the first one. Okay, well, Is Elvis Alive basically talks about, this book being taken off the shelves, her journey to start researching out why this book was taken off the shelves, the beginning of the Orion Singer, the infringement on her copyright, and she starts questioning Elvis's death. The Elvis Files goes a little deeper into the topic, so she just kind of expands. So she went from there to this one, and it covers more in-depth documentation and other people, because between the two, that one was published in 1988, written in 1987 technically, And this one is published in 1991, so there's a good quite a few years between them. And there was more information about Orion, the singer, Silvanora, and other things in here that she didn't fit in that other book. And then she has another book out, I believe it's called can't remember right now, but she has a third one, a third Elvis one, but I never got that one. I don't know if that helps. All right. I saw Gail Jr. Yes. She passed away in January the 25th, 2025. And it's on legacy.com if you want to read. I think I might have put the link on the community. You can click on that and it'll take you to her obituary. Yeah. It's very sad, but now she's in a better place. Let's hope that. Yes, rest in peace. Yes. Yes, this year. Right. Yeah, his hands were all like scarred up and pucked up, and from doing karate, he'd break like was it boards and stuff with his hands. And he always had them taped up, and stuff like that in his concerts too. That could be
Yeah, and
from
I'll tell you
karate,
what,
or they keep his rings on his fingers. One of the
that's what I
two.
was going to tell you. I read a story where he told somebody the reason he wore like medical tape on his fingers, he put it in front of his ring because that one time he was on stage and had that big old diamond ring, and that girl was in the front row, and he reached out to hold her hand. She snatched that ring off his finger. Well, his security started to go get the ring back, and he said, "No, let her have it."
Yeah. Saw a short clip that Vernon ordered a wax figure of Elvis beforehand. Yeah, well, that was probably from Elvis Found Alive, and Jesse Elvis had admitted that it was half fiction and half fact. What it
Yeah,
says
but I
here is
do,
that
I
he
do,
ordered the whole
I do,
body.
I do know that Vernon bought a damn wax dummy in Birmingham, Alabama, because I seen the newspaper article about it, and that was
Yeah,
just about 6 months before Elvis left.
yeah. And well, Elvis said he had it ordered, and he said that Joe and Larry thought he was out of his mind. So it might have been both. Who knows? Maybe
I
Vernon
mean,
had the bust.
what I read was in that paper that Vernon and some of I guess Elvis's boys went down there to pick it up, and when they was loading it on the truck, one of them people who worked at the wax museum, was helping them load it, asked Vernon, "What the hell you want that for, Mister Presley? You got the real deal at home." Vernon looked at him and said, "Well, wait till you see what we do with this," and just laughed and turned and walked off. That's why I always said I believe Vernon knew he done what he done.
Yeah. And he even said on Elvis Found Alive that he buried a wax candle with an air conditioner on Elvis
Yep.
Found Alive, and he chuckled. And back in Graceland, and the back of Graceland, there is a door. It looked like it as like to escape Elvis close by an airport. Really? Okay. I know he said in his book that there are many secret places in Graceland. There's secret hideaways and passageways and stuff. So he could probably gotten in and out of that house easily. I don't know. A mannequin? Oh, it was wax, and they had to put the air conditioner underneath. That's why the casket was so heavy. She had Purple green, the wax dummy was bought from the Wax Museum in Birmingham, Alabama, and that was closing. He said he commissioned it though earlier, so I don't know. That was kind of odd, but okay. Hi, Claudette. How are you tonight? Yeah, I heard that she had dementia too. It didn't say in her obituary, it said she died in the hospital, but that's what I heard she suffered with. Yes. Jim, you shaved, you look good. Hi, Mary, how are you? Elvis got a good set of teeth. Why? He have a dentist more often or gum? He had good teeth, but I heard he had a gold tooth and he had it removed that night.
Yeah, he was always going to the dentist. He took good care of his teeth.
Yeah. So if you I don't know if you had a chance to, but there's on the live streams, I do have this book. It's under the Truth Book series. He talks about the tooth and he had it removed. Like, see the picture? It was a gold tooth. That's what he had removed at the dentist that night. So Larry Gellar has a story memorized. You can tell it on repeat. Sure. Yes. And also, Larry Gellar is very good at hiding the story. He knows he's alive,
Yeah.
but he's under an NDA through EPE, so he will never ever tell anybody. But he knows he's alive. Yeah. Elvis was a very multifaceted person. He had multiple interests, and he was just a very interesting man. Period. Very talented, but yet interesting. And no one understood him. Yes. I think the only person that probably could understand him was his mother. When he lost his mother, that was the end of everything. His mother meant everything to him.
Let me tell you something. After Gladys passed, that man never was the same man after that.
Right.
He's still a good person, but it changed him.
Yeah. I think it would have made a difference too if she had stayed alive. It would have made a difference with his personal life as well. He probably would have had a little bit more, I don't know what you want to say, savvy with girls or whatever. Decisions or, who knows? Maybe he probably would have never married. Who knows? We don't know, You are exactly right. Yeah. Did doctors know that there were what the cause of death, Jesse? You mean baby? He was stillborn. We don't know why from what I understand, both babies, they were twins, first of all. From what I understand, the doctor that delivered them didn't know she was having twins. Back in 1935, it was very hard to they didn't have ultrasounds and stuff like that we do today. And he didn't survive birth. And I heard that Elvis he had to go to the hospital or something too and be monitored.
Him and Gladys spent 3 days in the hospital when that birth happened.
Yeah, after he was born, because of something wasn't right with him too. They had to monitor him. So it must have been something, really bad, and back then, of course, being born at home, you don't have the access to like the hospital, like, sanitation and other things that they did back then. So he died at birth. It could have been a spinal cord, not the spinal cord, the cord around his neck. It could have been like trauma to the head. It could have been anything. Yeah. He could have died before he was born, like, in the womb or something. Who knows? You're welcome.
That's water.
Elvis Undercover. Is he alive and coming back? That's the name of that's the name of the third book. Yes, I'm sorry I couldn't remember it. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah. I don't know, I didn't read that one, but did Elvis wear sunglasses at night? That picture of him driving, it looks like he was wearing sunglasses. Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wear my sunglasses at night. We don't know why he's wearing sunglasses, but it could be corrective glasses too, like to drive. Maybe they're just prescription. We don't know. But yeah, he was wearing his sunglasses. I think the only time he really took them off was when he was on stage to sing. They took, like, he wore them until he got to like the edge of the lights, and then he took them off. What, Jim? Were you saying something? Hello? Oh, I guess we lost him. He'll come back. Poor Gladys, no prenatal care. She's so needed. Yeah, and I mean, even Elvis said, and Vernon said that if they had gone to the hospital, there might have been a chance that he would have survived birth, But back then, they just didn't have the technology we have today, and that's pretty sad, but it happens, I thought Elvis said that his dad didn't know and died before he could tell him. Yeah. Well, that's what I said, and that's what he says in his book. So we don't really know. That's what he said, so I'm just going to stick with that. What Jim says, that Jim says, but I don't know. But the question, even Gail questions Vernon and some of the things. But yeah. Wax Museum in UK looked like a real deal. Why did they have it made from you?
Some are eating too.
No.
I don't know. I heard it was like Madame Tussauds, but I guess it's different. Everybody says different, but his was I thought he said Hollywood. But maybe I'm wrong. Nope. Just says Mr. Cooper. He doesn't say who that Mr. Cooper is and where he was, but in 1974. So we don't really know. But I always go with what Jesse said. He could be protecting his father as well. Who knows? As he always did that. He was very respectful to his father, so we don't know.
What I started to say a while ago about them sunglasses at night, I think a lot of that was because he was sensitive to light when a headlight was coming at him and stuff like that.
Right.
He had glaucoma.
Right. And it's like I said, the only time he ever took his sunglasses off was when he was on stage. And the reason why his eyes would water and look like they were tearing is because the lights were so bad that it hurt his eyes. And yeah. So a lot of times, and his eyes are blue, so that even makes it worse. Blue eyes are very sensitive to light.
Yeah, and those damn lights on the stage. You seen how he get up on stage and them lights and just sweat like a damn big pig. I mean, just sweat like hell.
Is Elvis a mama's boy? Yes. Elvis was a mother's boy. Him and his mother were like glue. He loved his mother a lot. You know, back in the day, Vernon wasn't home. I think he was when he was young, you know, when Elvis was really young, Vernon was in
Yeah.
prison for a little while, and it was just him and his mother. And his mother raised him and always protected him and kept him very protected. He was very sheltered because of his birth, the situation of his birth, and she was afraid that she was going to lose him like she lost Jesse. And so she kept him like protected and very, very overprotective over him. And I think that might have been one of her downfalls is because when, you know, he was getting famous, she was worrying and she would drink a lot when he worried. And then she developed, you know, disease and died of liver disease or whatever it was, some type of liver disease.
Died of
Yeah,
cirrhosis.
right. Cirrhosis of the liver. I call it liver disease, but same thing. So, yeah. The more she worried, the more she drank. But he was very worried. He loved her so much. And I don't think he could process it. And he was in the army, so, you know, we found a girl that could listen to him and understand him and, you know, you get what my drift. Just wanted someone to listen to him and be with him because he was lonely after
Yeah.
his mother died too. So,
That's like when Gladys died. He was in the
yeah,
army. He put
yeah.
in for a leave to come home when she got sick. They wasn't gonna give him. They was I don't know. They wasn't gonna give it to him, but they was dragging their feet about getting it done. And he went to his commanding officer and told him, "You don't get this shit through, I'm walking out. I'm going home. You can stick the army up your ass." And that's when they went ahead and give him the thing to go home on.
Yeah. He was devastated, and he was never the same after she died. Never the same.
Yeah.
Save money back then. Elvis Undercover, is he alive and coming back? I meant, it's one of the books. Yes, that's the book I was thinking of. I just couldn't remember it, so thank you, Tina. That was the third book in the series that I don't have a copy of.
Yeah, he ain't coming back. So
He had glaucoma. I don't know how it is today, but I think I don't know it's well treated. And I think he's had some eye surgeries, according to what Linda said. Various eye surgeries. So you can it can, if you treat it well, treat it and have certain procedures done, you can save your eyesight even with glaucoma. But it's constant. My father's got the same problem. Priscilla know if Elvis is dead, Elvis is alive or dead. Does she know where he's at? Okay, so Priscilla knows he's alive, has hinted, has if you guys have not seen it yet, the video I have what his family and friends say, check those out. Those are all hints from family and friends. They know he's alive. She knows he's alive. She did a couple bloopers. One was at Oprah when she says, "That's what I just said to him the other day," and said, "Oops." And then, of course, she sang happy birthday to him at the Candlelight Vigil in 2022. I mean, like, really? Like, you know? But she knows. But also, don't forget, they're all tied up with NDAs as well.
remember what he said when that woman asked him when he was talking about Lisa Marie marrying Danny back in the day, asked him if he was at the wedding, and he said no. And they asked him if Priscilla was there, and the welder said, "Yeah, she's everywhere."
Yeah. That was actually the interview she had here, but she said that he said yes, that he was at the wedding. So that was kind of weird because it sounded like no to me on the video, on the
Yep.
audio, but I don't think he was at the wedding, but she was. But she knows they were in contact with one another. But if you were to go out step right out at her and ask her, she's gonna deny it because she's under an NDA. If you go out flat up and approach her, like say, email her, messenger or whatever on Facebook, she's gonna say absolutely not. Francis says you're funny, Jim. Well, we all know that. You got me laughing the other day.
Well, why she calling me funny? I ain't done nothing funny tonight.
I don't know. You must have said something that got our funny bone. Musicians do wear sunglasses at night. Yeah, they do. Hi, TCB. How are you? TCB. Oh, yeah, that's right. People with light eyes always have night vision and they are sensitive to brightness and their eyes tear up too. Yes, Diana, exactly. And my eyes are very sensitive to like lights. When I drive, I have to wear these glasses are anti-glare lenses. I have a hard time in the sun too. Like these might turn tan, darken outside in the sun, but I still put the visor down because my eyes are so sensitive to the sun. And I have like hazel, like my eyes are blue and brown mixed. They're always sensitive to the sun. From the start, Elvis heartbroken, losing his mom, women around him and not working, comfortless. Yeah. Right. And I think that, a lot of it, I don't know what have happened if his mom was still around, especially with Priscilla, meeting Priscilla and all that. Wonder what she would have said, about different women in his life and stuff. Yeah. It's only eye drops continuously. Yeah. Well, they have another thing they do now. They go inside and they drain it. My father had that problem. They drain his eye and all that kind of stuff. But it could be other problems too, macular degeneration and all that kind of stuff. Spill the beans? Oh. So are my eyes. Okay. Any word on the other knee? No, actually, I checked Linda's site today and there's nothing new at all. He hasn't called her. I know Jim said he heard from one of his family member connections or whatever, and I guess he's doing okay, but was not able to get the surgery done for health reasons. High blood pressure and all that kind of stuff. As far as I know, from what I understand. And his age is very hard. What?
That song we've been talking about, me and you, I sent that to family and asked them if that was him or not. I'm waiting on a reply.
Oh, okay. Okay, well,
it's like I said, I suspect he did that after he left.
I don't know. I might have to share that video and get people's opinion.
Yeah, that's fine. Sure. I mean, hell,
Well, it's on YouTube,
it,
but I
it,
didn't
it
pull it
ain't
up.
it ain't nothing that they sent me and told me not to share it. It was on the internet, so share it. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're talking about people, and we're talking about a video that we found on YouTube. It says Elvis Presley is singing "Because He Lives, I Can Face Tomorrow" by the Gaithers. Now, when I hear the song, I hear Jimmy Ellis in it, but everyone else says it's Elvis. So I guess he sent it over to family to find out if it really is Elvis or not. But I hear Jimmy. I don't know. For some reason, something's off on there.
You know exactly who I asked about it, so I'll find out.
I know. All right. Anyway, won't be her mom knows best. Yeah. Oh, I forgot. You okay now, Joy? Yeah, I'm fine. My legs feeling much better. Just dealing with some allergies. That's it. But my leg feels much better. Thanks for asking. It's stupid snow. Yeah, stupid. Yeah. All right. So I wish I had the music on. The music for me. But I don't have a way of uploading that this way. I would have to go on the computer and upload it and put it on here, and that'd be a pain in the neck. So if anyone wants to listen to that, you'll find it on YouTube. It's called Because He Lives by Elvis Presley. I think it's Jimmy Ellis. It might have been an Orion recording,
I'll
or
post
one of
it on
those
the group.
James Ellis recordings. Now, I had sent Jim one of those a cappella versions by Jimmy Ellis, but if we were to take that and put it with music and kind of put it next to each other or over each other, overlap them, you might find very similarities in the voice.
But
So, in the way
like
he
I said,
sings it.
when we get off here, I'll post that song on the group so people can listen to it.
Okay. So, I could probably put it on the messenger. I will do that. For the YouTube family here, those of you that aren't on the Facebook group or the Facebook page, I will share that video. Actually, what I'll do is I'll clip it on the back here tomorrow when this video is done processing. I'll put it as a recommended video. You guys can listen to it, and if you want, at the end, you can put a comment. Maybe in the on the messages underneath the community tab, you can put your comment who you think is singing that song. So I will do that later. I'll put it in the community tab, link it, and you guys can listen and decide. All right. Me, it sounded like Jimmy to me, but I could be wrong because they sound so much alike. Good night, Diana. Yeah, what's your pick, Joy? Did Ellis have any formal training in music and singing? I don't think so. I think he was a natural. Actually, all he had was tape. He had like piano. He learned it in church, but he played by ear. Everything by ear. And the guitar, he learned a few chords, from somebody and learned by ear. He had perfect pitch. Yes, he had a wonderful gift of singing. That's for sure, and musicality. So, and I believe he still uses the gift today to play the piano and stuff at home. I'm not sure right now with the way he's got arthritis, but arthritis is very good. It's good for your fingers to play the piano when you have arthritis. Okay. Any more comments? If not, I'm going to get off, and you guys have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
I'm going to show this last video clip here on Spelling on the Stone, and you guys have a good night. God bless y'all. And I'll be back on next week with the next chapter on the Elvis Files, and it is called Elvis and the Passover Plot. So that will be interesting.
On the stone.
The legend lives, never dies. It's up to you
Sing the song.
to decide.
Say the word, and I'll come home. Check the spelling on the stone. Just check the spelling on my stone.
Yes, good night, everybody. God bless you
Good night.
all. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. Thank you. Good night. Want to stay on, Jim?